thing as zombies.
What's up, guys and gals? Jared here with another Follow the Rules and You May Survive movie review. So Rooster Teeth is doing wonders with all of their productions, from all of their online content to Laser Team 2, and now they finally have their first horror comedy starring B-Dunks called Bloodfest. So does Barbara make it out alive? Let's find out. So as I mentioned, Bloodfest is sort of this horror comedy that follows one of our main characters named Dax. Dax's backstory is kind of that him and his mom loved Halloween, they loved watching Halloween movies, and one night on Halloween, someone broke into their house and actually killed her right in front of him. Anyways, fast forward to present day, and now he's kind of this horror junkie, horror fan. He just loves everything horror, and he really wants to go to this big horror celebration called Bloodfest. However, Bloodfest soon turns into a real-life horror movie when all of the attractions start to kill the attendees. Dax, along with his three friends, Krill, Sam, and Ashley, must follow the rules and tropes and cliched moments from horror movies to avoid sure death and survive the night. Personally, I'm a big fan of Rooster Teeth content, so this review might be a little bit biased, but this was actually a really fun time at the movies. I'm not a traditional horror fan, as many of you guys know, but this was the perfect mix of horror, comedy, references, tropes, cliched moments, all put together into this pretty enjoyable film. And this was due to the fact that it took all of these familiar things from horror movies, pointed them out that they were cliched, and it didn't follow them. Like, don't split, the virgin can't die, zombies can only be killed with injuries to the head, and don't get naked.
Woo, I'm naked!
It was sort of this, we get it, we're not gonna fall for this lame stuff over and over again. The vibe of this movie was pretty cool as well, because it took all of these genres of horror and kind of mixed them up into this big festival or bloodfest. It definitely had hints of Saw, Annabelle, The Nun, Friday the 13th, Dawn of the Walking Dead. The biggest one was actually like Cabin in the Woods, because all of these different references or things came together in one big mashed up mix. So I guess it kind of did have this fresh take on the genre by not really going into all of these different subgenres, but rather bringing them all together. The acting / leads of this film is what really made this movie move along, and their chemistry just, it was believable, and it really made the movie flow on. At first, when we meet Dax, played by Robbie Kay, he doesn't really demand the screen, he's kind of just this awkward, horror-loving fan, movie junkie, whatever, but then as the movie slowly progresses, he kind of takes a more dominant role, a leading role of the group. He knows all of the horror tropes, and he actually is a pretty enjoyable part of this movie. And his counterpart, Sam, played by Seychelle Gabriel, was also like this nerdy-ish kind of girl at first, but then when things start to get wild, she like becomes this badass woman, and in my personal opinion, she was kind of a standout, and she kind of demanded the screen when she was on it. These two characters really play well off of each other, and it gives the movie some centralized characters to grasp onto. Also, just a fun little thing is all of the Rooster Teeth cameos from people that you've grown to love. Oh, there's Gavin, Blaine, Elise, Texas. Wait a minute, what? Is that Zachary Levi? The list goes on, and it's really fun to watch these characters just get torn apart. Now, I will say that some of the scenes or dialogue were pretty distracting, and one that really jumped out at me was kind of the opening scene with this little kid. I don't know, it was just awkward, like the way the kid was staring at his mom the whole time. He was just sitting there smiling. It was just a very awkward scene, and it just kind of felt out of place. That's just one scene that really stood out to me because it was the beginning of the film, but as it moves along, there are a few scenes or dialogue things that just don't feel too believable when the two characters are talking to each other. Believe me, it's a small thing, but you'll definitely notice it. And lastly, maybe the pacing in a few sections of the movie. There's this scene or vibe or just the way the movie goes, you think it's pretty much done, but then there's about another 20 minutes after that. Overall, Bloodfest is a really fun time at the theaters and a nice addition to the Rooster Teeth productions. With a fun mix of horror and comedy, it not really following the traditional horror tropes, a solid lead ensemble, and some great RT cameos, but with maybe some scenes that felt out of place and some pacing issues in certain parts of the movie. I'd check out Bloodfest in the theaters or whatever if you have the chance. It's not the best movie this year, but it is a fun flick for movie night with your friends. So what did you think of Bloodfest? Was this the fun RT horror comedy you were hoping for? Or was this just a B-movie waste of time? I want to hear about it in the comments below. As always, you can find me on the social medias at Jared Buckendahl on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Stardust. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Until next time, I'll see you later.